Welcome to Beyond the Chutes in our podcast series, Quiet Enough to Ride. I'm Doug Simcox, and along with my co-host Sam Swearingen, we're here to talk about the rodeo mindset and the mental muscles we build, resilience, confidence, and focus that help us perform under pressure and navigate the ups and downs of rodeo and life. The real question we're exploring is this: can we quiet ourselves enough to focus, to adapt, and to ride at our best, not just in the arena, but in everything we do? In this episode, we're talking about Maxwell Maltz's classic book, Psycho-Cybernetics. We'll break down its insights on self-image and mental conditioning and look at how these ideas apply to the challenges and opportunities we face in rodeo. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive into Quiet Enough to Ride. Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by Parasite Systems. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and I'm sitting in the recording studio here in Taylorsville, Kentucky. My co-host, Mr. Sam Swearingen, 2 times North America Rodeo Commissioner, rodeo athlete, stock contractor, rodeo stock contractor, and rodeo coach. He's on the phone with us. Sam, you're on the road. You're headed this way. How are you doing?
Doing good, Doug. Finally got through all the traffic and the mess in Cincinnati and open roads and dry, and it's a good feeling.
Good feeling. So you're only a couple hours away. You get here, we're going to go get some dinner. We're going to hang out and let you kind of rest up before you set off on your next leg of the travel to Texas.
Yeah. It's not quite halfway point, but
Yeah.
I'll take it and get to see good friends and move on.
Move on. Well, you know, I've got my wife Laura and daughter Kathleen. They're out on the road right now. Kathleen's moved to Montana, to Billings, as you know, Sam. We've talked about that. And they took off. So Laura flew in on Thanksgiving Day to Billings. And Laura and Kathleen piled in Kathleen's Dodge Ram Dually. Did I say that right, Sam? Because I know she'll correct me, because it's a big deal to have a Dodge Ram Dually, right?
Yeah, especially for Kathleen. She was so excited.
Well, you were part of that whole decision making, weren't you? Didn't she call you?
Yeah, she asked me some questions, and I told her my wife has one just like it, same color, and yeah, they're a good truck.
You bet. And I'm glad she got it. You know, good towing capacity, good safe truck, and they're pulling a 3-horse trailer with living quarters. She had a horse that she was moving from Billings to down in the Lawton, Oklahoma area to drop off with one of the ladies that she does a lot of horse business with. And then this morning they pulled into Hyco, Texas, where she had a horse in training. Kathleen had a horse down there in training for the last 90 days. And she got to hang out, just got off the phone with him. She got to hang out with Doug, the trainer, and got to go for a ride and got to learn, took a bunch of videos. So really learned a lot in the process. And they are now back in Lawton, Oklahoma, where they've unhooked. So they're out having dinner and they're going to get a good night's sleep. And then they'll head north, stay in West Sam of Oklahoma City, all the way up to Route 70 up in Kansas.
Okay.
So you got a general idea.
Yeah. And when she asked me about buying the truck, you know, you gave her advice and good advice. Why do you need a dually? Mm-hmm. And I said, your dad's correct. Why do you need a dually? But if you want it, get it.
That's right.
Only young, well, just get it if that's what you dreamed of.
Well, and for sure. And you know what? She's dreamed about that. And you are the root cause of all these dreams. You know that, right?
No,
when you put her on Sister, come on. When you put her on Sister, she was 11 years old. And at that point, she was determined. She knew what she wanted. Dodge pickup truck, Dodge Ram Dually. Am I saying that right, Sam?
Well, it's actually a Ram anymore.
It's not a Dodge?
We call them, no, the Dodge is a car.
Oh, so sorry. See?
They cut ties, and it's their own.
They did.
Thing. It's Ram.
And it's just Ram.
Just Ram.
Just Ram. Okay. But Cummins powered, all that sort of thing. Beautiful truck. I rode with Kathleen out to Iowa in it. She drove every single mile. It's about 9 hours each way. And what a truck, Sam. We weren't towing anything, but good golly, leather seats and heated seats. And I took some nice naps rolling down the road.
I could use one right now myself.
Well, come on, get on here. And yes, I did give her good advice, and the number one good advice, the number one thing I did, I said you need to call Sam. Sam knows Sam knows about these big rigs and the miles you're contemplating driving and what you're going to haul. Call Sam. So she did, and I really appreciate you giving her a hand.
No problem. My pleasure.
Yeah. Well, and again, every time we sit down to record one of these, I think of these cowboys and cowgirls that are running down the road, Sam. A lot of them running these big rigs like she's running, and like you're running today. You're pretty well loaded, pulling with the Chevy dually, right? But man, you got to be careful in the colder weather, the wetter weather, the snow for sure this morning. Man, you better back up your braking distances.
Yeah. If you can cause a lot of, or save a lot of issues if you leave space.
You bet.
And I'm good at that, but I'm not good at everything. But I do leave room. And, trailer brakes are working fantastic. Everything is the way it should be. Got off an exit. DOT was there checking everything.
Oh, wow.
And actually, he was pulling them in the other side. So I said, I don't want to mess with him. So I went straight down to the next exit and got on.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't worried about anything. You'd sit there and it's just time.
Are you're heavy enough that you would need, are you DOT registered?
Well, this is my personal vehicle.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. They'll pull you in.
Oh, they do.
No matter what.
Okay. Okay.
He had a truck and trailer. It was just like a 3/4 ton pickup with a 2-wheel axle trailer, and was waving him in.
Oh, wow. That's
why I knew enough not to go that way.
You bet. You bet. You bet. But yeah, just good advice for our listeners that are pulling these big rigs. Man, keep them brakes in good condition on that trailer. And, plenty of space. You got to give space. And it takes a while for me when I jump in the big rig, Sam. It takes a while for me if I've been doing a lot of car driving. Takes a while for me to think, okay, I got to back off here. I got to give space because I got about 5 times the braking distance I would have in my car.
Yeah, that big rig that you drive, you got to be careful. Even though it's got it's a semi that you stretched out and made a beautiful camper out of it. Mm-hmm. It's still a lot of weight pushing around there.
Oh, man. Man. You bet. You bet. And then you add elements of the wet and the cold like we talked about. And again, every time, Sam, I get on these sessions, we record a session, I am thinking about these cowboys and cowgirls that are going down the road and the miles and the memories, right? The memories of all those miles and challenges of going down the road, staying awake. And I hope, Sam, our episodes are entertaining and help these folks stay awake as they run down the road.
Yeah, me too. And, my mother, she used to, when we did call home, which wasn't often, she'd say, well, I don't worry about the riding so much with that road.
You bet.
That's scary.
You bet. You bet. Yep. Yep.
We made it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
far.
And we have, and we will continue to. So eyes up, 2 hands on the steering wheel, nothing better than hands free. Being able to talk as you're driving. And I gotta, and as we say, we hope we help the miles go by a little bit faster for those that are sitting and are listening to our shows. Sam, do you find the miles roll on a little bit faster when you're involved in these conversations and we're doing these recordings?
Yeah. And it's funny you should say that because just the other day, Colton was talking and he said, and I've always listened to talk radio.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he said he really thought I listened to talk radio to make them mad. He really thought that's
Yeah.
why I listen to talk radio, not music, is to make them mad.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. Isn't that something how we come to those conclusions? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rodeo season in the IPRA officially ended on November 30th, just a few days ago. And again, Sam, we want to say congratulations to all the IFR qualifiers and for you that were on the bubble. Let's go get them next year. Let's build our toolbox. Let's work on our physical. Let's work on our mental, which is why we're here, Sam. And let's get focused on the 4 things we got to do to have a successful year next year. No time like now to get started on the plan for 2025.
And I want to congratulate everybody that made the IFR, but all you people that travel and go to rodeos, you are a commodity and a blessing to the committees.
Mm-hmm.
And so I appreciate just going as much as you can and just enjoy what you're given, because not everybody's given the opportunity to do it.
You bet. You bet. And talking about giving, Sam, we want to dedicate this episode and this entire 3R BTC 3R's rodeo podcast series to the teachers, to the coaches, and to the mentors, Sam. Those people that inspire us, guide us, challenge us to be better. Whether it's coach on our sidelines, whether it's a parent at home giving us support, a traveling partner, a mentor sharing hard-earned wisdom, or a teacher like Marv Schimmel, your wrestling coach, shaping young minds. And you did a lot of that, Sam. You did a lot of that with the Cowboys that come up through that work for you. And we just want to say thank you to these folks. We dedicate this series to you, and this is for you.
Okay, yeah. It's a lot of fun when you can help people when they want to learn, and it's not any fun if they just think they know more than you. So
right. And we're going to talk about learners versus knowers in a future episode. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But to your point of these folks that are going down the road that are spending hard-earned money, that are getting out and showing, all these great rodeos through the Northeast or wherever you may be, just know these rodeo committees, these rodeo stock contractors, as Sam said, they really appreciate it. And let's keep supporting them as they support us.
Very good.
Yeah. So today on our rodeo podcast series, we are going to be talking about the secret weapon that every cowboy and cowgirl needs in their toolbox, the mindset, the rodeo mindset. And today we're going to be talking, Sam, we've referenced it a number of times, Maxwell Maltz's psycho-cybernetics. And it's really, if you boil it down, it's kind of a system that's all about rewiring your brain for success. It's a lot like giving your mental game a tune-up before we hit that busy rodeo season, before we hit the finals, before we hit the rodeo arena. And Maxwell Maltz, for those who don't know, was a plastic surgeon turned self-help guru. This is from some of the research I did in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, which is still a hit. Sam, it's still out there, still a source, a great resource, even though it was written back in 1960. And he explained how your self-image is the control center for everything you'll do. And I'm going to drop a link in the listener notes if you want to check out that book. But today we're going to keep it light, clear, and rodeo focused. So we're going to break down some of his key concepts, Sam. The first key concept I just read was self-image. And we start with a self-image, which is basically the story you tell yourself about who you are. And as we talked earlier, if you think I'm the rider who misses the mark out, guess what? That's who you'll stay. But if you flip that script and you start saying, I'm a confident competitor who rides clean and focused, or I'm a confident competitor who holds my markouts for 2 jumps, your brake will start working towards that image. Does that make sense, Sam?
It certainly does. And, we don't know how strong the mind is even at this point in time. But if you're thinking positive, it's going to be a whole lot better than negative. I'll tell you that much. So,
You bet.
and once you get on the negative hoo-hoo pity party, you stay there a long time.
It's
hard to get off of.
It's
hard. You can make excuses for everything.
You bet.
So,
you bet.
Try to stay positive.
What did Tom Carney say? Excuses for losing or reasons to win is the mind shift, right? Excuses for losing or the reasons to win. Again, that episode, Rodeo Roots, came out, I think it was July 9th. Man, Tom Carney, worth a listen. Again, I'll put that in the listener note. But when we talk about this rewiring, Sam, this changing of our image, and when I think of an image, a self-image, it's a picture. Okay? An image is a picture. And a lot of times, and this goes beyond ourselves, but it goes to others, we have this image of someone. And we know, and I'm doing this in air quotes, we know who they are because we have this image. We know how they'll behave because we've been around them, but we have this image. And part of the challenge is to say, I wonder if that image is still relevant. Wonder if that image is still true. And think of it like cleaning out or clearing out your mental closet. And we all have mental closets. You talked about this earlier, where we stuff those old mistakes, those doubts, and those bad runs into the box, close the door, hope it stays closed because it's pretty full, Sam. And clean it out, and let's make room for something new. And as we talked last time, we get to be the author of what that new story is. We get to take a picture and paint a picture of what we want it to be. And as I said, in our relationships, sometimes it helps to say, do I really know who this person is that's sitting across the table from me? I have a picture, I have an image, and there's this philosophy that we only ever see something new one time, Sam. So imagine the first time you saw a tree. It's said we only see it one time because from that point we have an image of it. And we stop being curious and we stop looking at it. So just kind of a step back here just a little bit. So key concept number 1, he talks about self-image. Key concept number 2, visualization. And this was the thing when I found this book, this was the thing that I was pointed to, and I don't remember who told me. Could have been the Churchills, it could have been Ike Sankey, right? It could have, or Lyle Sankey, I should say. I don't remember who, might have been Mike, might have been you. I don't know where I got it, but the concept of visualization and being able to practice mentally, and this is where it starts to get a little bit fun. Because Dr. Maltz said the brain can't tell the difference between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. So if you visualize success like a perfect run or a flawless bull ride, your brain treats it as practice. So if you imagine a barrel racer picturing every detail, the sounds, the turns, the crowd, the clock flashing her best time yet, or you imagine a tie-down roper rehearsing his smooth dismount and perfect tie over and over in his mind, it's like rehearsing a highlight reel of future success. What do you think of that?
And go one step further. I used to had a calf roper I traveled with when I was young, and he's a little younger than I was, but Mike, and he did a lot of visualizations.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what he meant, but he'd stopwatch his visual.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, I am really, really good when I'm visual the calf roper.
Yeah.
He said, you got to really stretch it out to make an 8-second run. So he was kind of ahead of things at that point, I think, doing something like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with that. And I think that was, if we'd only known then what we know now, Sam, you know how that goes. But the early adopters of this, and this is 1960. I don't even think you were even born yet, Sam, 1960.
I think so, Doc. I think I was a year old today at 1960.
Is today your birthday, December 3rd?
That is.
Oh,
See,
my
I had
gosh.
to put that in there.
Oh, you did? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Well, happy, happy, happy birthday. My goodness. Wow.
Thank you.
I would sing to you if I only could.
That's okay.
Okay. So back to this. You got to
I got a visualization.
Did you? Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to just visualize me singing to you. So we taught a program. We're going to get into that in a few episodes in the future. And during this program that we taught, I would do an experiment, and it was really driving this home. And it goes to how the mind works. And I would say, think of a time when you were angry or upset. And I might have 20 people in the room. And they'd be standing in front of me. This was part of the exercise. And you give them a few minutes, and I swear, Sam, the lights dimmed. The darkness kind of settled in. And because the body reacts as they remembered this. You could see it. And we're going to get into a concept called FISB here in a few episodes that's going to talk about the electrical system of us. But the mind can't distinguish between that episode of when an event happened that made me so incredibly angry and the memory of it as I stand here later after the event was over. And part of the experiment was, okay, let's go here just to prove the power of this. And then the other was, let's do an exercise to bring us back and kind of recalibrate and get us back in the moment. That was part of it. I stopped doing the exercise because it was so dark. And what was interesting is I would, just out of curiosity, I would say, don't tell me about the event. Tell me when the event occurred. Oh, it happened this morning on the way to work. It happened last night in a conversation over dinner. And invariably, Sam, you would have somebody that would say it happened 30 years ago. And yeah. So talk about putting things in a closet, and we all do it. Think about putting things in a closet, right? And this is where you pull out that F word that you've talked about already, forgiveness. And in maybe a little bit different use of the word or the concept of forgiveness than what we've normally talked about or been taught. But forgiveness can be used to forgive a grievance that I hold. It's mine. It's mine. And if I can forgive that, the pain of the memory of that incident for 30 years ago starts to soften. And that's to the point of, how do you let something go? How do you let something go? And we'll get into that in a bit. But part of it was the body reacts in such an intense way that it's said that the memory of being attacked by a bear is as intense as being attacked in reality by the bear. Yeah. So if we want to, shifting back, and I took us off there just for a moment, but shifting back, if I want to visualize, so you had a traveling partner, calf roper that visualized, one of the key concepts is I must be relaxed. I must quiet my mind. I must let it soak. I must get into that projection because it's almost like my mind is projecting onto a screen and I'm watching this run, whether it's on the screen from afar or it's off the back of my horse. I'm watching this ride. And I have to be quiet for that to be effective. And focusing on all the details. And again, Sam, I would say all the way from climbing over the back of the buck and chute, pulling the rope, heating the rope, getting your hand in, taking your wrap, taking a moment before you nod, making sure the bull's in position, you're in position, nodding and going, and then visualizing all the way through the ride, hands up in the air, like Lane Frost, or whatever your move is, right? The successful move. And then the noise that's around you, the crowds that are applauding, the announcer that's talking about you. Get as real and vivid in your memory as in this visualization as you can, because your body will treat it as an actual practice. In this book, Sam, they talked about an experiment that they did. And they were teaching somebody, I don't remember if it was playing ping pong or what it was. They had brand new people that had never done this sport or whatever it was they were teaching. And I just can't remember what it was. But they split them into two. And they said, you're going to go practice. You're going to be with a coach. You're going to go practice. The other half went into a room, got quiet, and were stepped through the process visually by a mind coach or by somebody that could help them through the process, help them get quiet, help them get in position, help them visualize as they're laying there in a relaxed state. And when they put them in the room, they claim, Sam, there wasn't much difference between those who had picked up the paddle and those who had visualized picking up the paddle. Back to your point, the power of the mind.
Yeah, and I've heard stuff like that before too. It just floors me that it could be true. You know,
You bet.
the mind could pick up on that stuff. It's just incredible.
It is.
What
It
the mind
is.
can do.
You know, in our first episode, I believe we talked about the body doesn't do anything the mind doesn't direct it to do. Now, there's two levels of direction. There's the conscious, I'm going to move my hand and pick up my coffee cup because I want to drink. And there's the unconscious where if I touch a stove, I jerk away because it's hot. It's unconscious. I do it without thought, right? That muscle memory kind of a thing. I know that if you think about driving down the road, how many things do we do unconsciously? You change lanes, you automatically signal. You're probably, you're certainly looking, but you're probably not putting a lot of thought into it. And to Colton's dismay, you're listening to a talk radio show as you're doing it, right? So it's just amazing what the mind can do. It's just amazing what it can do. And we're going to continue to talk about that. So key concept number 3 for Dr. Maltz was, he said it was around the mindset shift. Back to the self-image. If our self-image is a story you tell yourself, your mindset is how you act it out. It's how you behave. It's what you do. And he says it's all about replacing self-doubt with a success-oriented attitude. So we take a roper who always is just short of 8 seconds. Instead of thinking, I can't crack the 8-second mark, he tells himself, I'm the kind of roper who consistently breaks 8 seconds. He focuses on what he can control: his horse's training, his timing, his horse's timing, his mental preparation, and all the skills that go into being successful. And for fun, we ought to break it down one day, just how many individual skills, Sam, are in calf roping. It's crazy how many individual skills that have to be put together to make it all work. And he lets go of the stuff he can't control, like the ground conditions, the draw, the competition, maybe the judging, whatever it may be. He lets go of what he can't control, and he focuses on what he can control. Because when you think about it, when I'm trying to focus on what I can't control, it's complete futility. I'm wasting my time. I can't change it if I wanted to. Here is
time and energy.
Time and energy. Here is where I am. So how do we change that mindset, which is how we act it out? The self-image is our story we tell ourselves. So how can we change our mindset? And for that, we're going to get in a future episode that's based on a book, a training that I've done several times. It's based on a book called TED, The Empowerment Dynamic. It's by the author David Emerald. Got to meet David. I got to be in workshops with him. Just a great guy. But just really quickly, the empowerment dynamic, meaning I'm empowered to do. I'm empowered. He says there's two ways to see the world: as a creator, or someone who makes things happen, versus a victim who thinks things happen to me. Okay? So we're going to get into creator versus victim. Yeah. And you've had a little bit of this, I believe. We've talked a little bit about this in the past. And how do we make that shift from, God, I don't want to be here. It's wet. I'm cold. I'm tired. My horse isn't doing right. I've drawn poorly, but I'm here. I paid my entry fee. What can I do in this moment? And we need to make the shift in that moment. And we simply ask a question, Sam. What is it I want? I'm here. What do I want? I want to go out and perform like the kind of roper who consistently breaks 8-second runs. And the rest of it ain't none of my doing. Right? Nothing else for me to focus on. But what do I want helps the shift happen. And sometimes, Sam, shift happens, right? Sometimes it happens. Yeah. Plan on it. So in those moments, we get to see the world. We have a choice. And we're going to talk about awareness. And with awareness comes choice. We're going to talk about that in a future episode. And the other thing, and Alan Coleman talked about this, and Tom Carney talked about this on his episode. You can't expect, and this is as much for the parents of calf ropers as it is for the calf roper themselves, if in the same scoring line, the same setup, the same kind of calf, if you're roping 10 seconds at home, Sam, it's impractical to go in and think you're going to rope an 8 in the same conditions. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Okay.
And, and that leads to a whole nother thinking of, okay, get somebody that ropes an 8 and work with them, and you'll get there.
You'll get there. Yep. And Tom Carney talked about that, and he said, look, if you're practicing at home, and Alan Coleman talked about roping 50 calves a day, and if you're roping at home and you got a calf that cuts off to the left, sharp, coming out of the end of the chute, what do you typically do? You call the calf. You get rid of the calf. So you're not learning how to rope a calf that cuts off to the left, or you're not. And if you have a calf that's really super fast, you get rid of them because it doesn't fit in my practice pen. But then you go to a rodeo and you get on a calf that's like that, You haven't practiced on that. So lots of cool things come out of these conversations, and again, that's the Rodeo Roots podcast, Sam. Just outstanding, that episode. The next concept number 4, is relaxation and mental rehearsal. And this, as my research says, may be the most underrated part of Maltz's ideas, relaxation. He said that learning to relax is just as important as practicing your runs. And he says it's because when the pressure's on, you'll be able to call on that calm mindset to perform at your best. Now listen to this. He said, think of it as mental muscle memory. And we talked about having morning practices and spiritual practices or quiet time, whatever it might be. And they call them this because we're practicing, whether it's meditation or whatever it is that helps you practice this. But if you practice relaxing, we're going to talk about deep breathing, visualizing, or even taking a moment to clear your mind. It'll become second nature. So if we practice clearing our mind, it'll become second nature. And I can tell you from personal experience, and this is 20 years of study in a lot of these areas that we're talking about, this is beyond theory, and we can begin to put this into practice, and we can begin to experience this, right? So then he says, okay, think of it as that mental muscle memory. Then when you're in the shoot or the arena, you'll stay cool and collected. Doesn't matter. TV cameras are rolling. It's the final run. The world championship is on the line, and got to make this catch, or got to make this catch and got to win money, or I got to go home because I got no more money. Well, if we can drop back into this relaxation, mental rehearsing, stepping back, and allowing ourselves to be in that moment, it just helps us in that creativity, that adaptability, that resilience that we've been talking about, and we're going to talk more about. He also believed, Sam, that relaxation also helps unlock creative problem solving. You ever woke up in the middle of the night with the answer?
Lots of times.
Okay. And why do you think that is? Right? And what I'm talking about, and I know what you're answering is, I got a problem, I go to bed thinking about it, but I go to sleep and I relax. And you pop awake, 2-3 hours later, 4 hours later, whatever, and you've come up with the idea. You've come up with the solution. So that drives home that concept of relaxation, opens up that creative problem solving. So whether it's adjusting your approach to a tricky barrel or staying focused on a tough bull, relaxation is the skill that keeps you sharp under pressure. Now, that doesn't mean so relaxed that you can't move. It's not being asleep. It's relaxed. I can still be alert. I think it's called the alpha. We'll have to get into that. There's a state of mind, or a state that our mind goes into, and I'll get the research on that as we move forward. But I still am alert. I still know where I am. I still am at peak performance, but I'm quiet. And we're going to talk about breathing. You brought that up earlier, about breathing as a way to relax in a future episode of our series. You know, Tom Carney talked about breathing. I'll just give a little spoiler alert here. He talked about the importance of breathing. He was on a phone call with one of the guys he coaches, and he coaches the top guys going down the road, Sam. He's having a phone call that's not a click phone call, and the fella's describing what's happening. He'd seen some video or whatever, and Tom came back with him with one question. Are you breathing? Are you breathing? Meaning, when you're back in the box, are you focused on your breathing? Are you breathing? I can tell you from experience on the racetrack, I through a tough road section, through a tough set of corners and S's and all that, I might go 30 seconds without breathing. But when I focus on my breathing, it allows my body to do what it knows how to do. It's crazy. It's crazy. Something as simple as breathing. And we'll talk about how breathing helps us in so many different ways, but being intentional about our breathing. Key concept number 5. He talks about the automatic mechanism. Dr. Maltz compared our brains to an autopilot system. Once you set a clear goal and align your self-image with it, your subconscious mind starts steering you there. For example, a tie-down roper who visualized every detail of an 8-second run, practiced the motions, rehearsed the mental game, finds his body performing almost on autopilot in the arena. It's not luck. It's preparation meeting clarity and confidence, he says. You've had those moments, Sam.
Yes. Everybody does. One point or time or another, I think. Have moments where it just all comes together. And you might not realize what you've been working for. It's finally clicking, but I think that is a lot of it. Yep.
That is so cool. So here's the big takeaway, Sam. This is what comes out of this book and from the research and from people that have been talking to me about this book. If you change the way you see yourself and align your subconscious mind with your goals, whether it's a barrel run, a bull ride, a calf rope and run, you unlock your true potential. It's not just about practice. It's about believing you are the skilled competitor you want to be. So what can you do? How do we put this into motion? You know, we talk about learning, and we're going to get into the 5 levels of learning here in a future episode. I've already said that, but here's what I believe. I can give you an idea, Sam. You can give me an idea, something new. You can tell me about something new, but I haven't done something till I start to put it into practice, until I add some movement to it. That's when I believe learning begins, because then you tell me this thing, I go do it, you go, yeah, you're pretty close, okay? And you're now giving me feedback. And I go, oh, okay. And when I think about learning how to calf rope, Sam, and again, we talk, I challenged how many different individual skills are there that have to be put together to make an 8-second run? It's crazy. I got to know how to ride a horse. I got to know how to hold a lariat. I got to know how to spin a lariat. I got to know, see, I'm probably not even using the right words. It's just crazy. So be patient. Ask for help. Ask questions if you don't understand it. I think on an earlier podcast, Sam, you and I talked when I was horse showing. I was probably 10 years old. And we would go to shows and we'd do everything from the pleasure classes, equitation, halter, to the games, right? To the fun shows, if you will. And I can remember coming out and people being very disappointed in me because I kept picking up the wrong lead when they asked us to canter in the pleasure class. And I mean, this went on like all summer. And I don't remember where it was or where I got the courage to ask because it sounds stupid. I said, what's a lead? What's a lead? And once they told me and showed me, I'm like, oh, well, heck, I can do that. And if I missed the lead, at least I knew I missed the lead from that point forward. So ask for help. Be patient with ourselves, Sam. Be kind. Man, we covered a lot here. But we believe we align our self-image with success, with our visualization, with that proper mindset. We relax and we roll. Make sense?
Makes sense. Perfect sense.
Any final words?
Well, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yep.
And you just might have to go over it a few times to figure out, visualization, the relaxing of the mind. It's just so much. Don't carry any extra baggage.
Yeah. And we're still throwing out a lot of theory at this point, Sam. We're starting to add some how-to stuff to this, but we're going to build towards more of that how-to stuff. A theory is just an idea, as we said, right? But until I can start to put it into practice, then I go, oh, wow, that does make sense. And that's where the belief in the program starts to come along. The belief in it, that a change is possible starts to come along. So we're going to be patient. And the beauty of these podcasts these days, pause it, back it up, listen again. And I hope we're not covering things so fast. And if we are, send us a message. I mean, feedback is what this is all about. We're putting out things that we think are useful and helpful as we talk about that 6-week period and that focus, that context of getting ready for the IFR or getting ready for rodeo season 2025. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you think. Question it. In our next episode, Sam, we're going to be talking about the rodeo mindset. We're going to stay on that, and we're going to dip our toe into resilience, focus, and determination. So that's it for today's episode, Sam, of Beyond the Chutes. Remember, success in rodeo isn't just about grit and talent. It's about the mental game too. So practice, relax, and build that positive image. Until next time, keep your hat on straight, and we'll see you down the trail. Hey, remember to check out our BTC Facebook page. Perfect place for you to find all of our episodes. Perfect place for you to give us feedback, share this content, leave us comments. We are so interested in what you're doing. This is brand new for us, Sam. We've never put out a podcast series before, and what a great topic to be talking about.
Yes, this is very important. And, I think that's why you made it a series, Doug. So kudos to you.
I think so. And great to be in conversation with you on this, Sam. Perfect. So until next time, this is
Sam Swearingen
and Doug Simcox. Thank you for listening.